The Fit for Europe 2 project, developing the export readiness of local enterprises for the EU market. It is what we're going to explore in a conversation this morning here on the Now Morning Show. And to do so, Mandisa Granderson, the Manager of Client Support Services and the Project Manager for the Fit for Europe 2 project, joins us, along with Ms. Janelle Murray, the CEO and Managing Director of Crystal Dream Weddings Events Limited. Ladies, good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thanks for having us.
An absolute delight, because while people may be planning events or looking at entrepreneurship, I'm sure they have something to learn from this conversation we're about to have. The first being what exactly the role of ExporTT is. When we talk about readiness to make entrepreneurship specifically exportable, it sounds complex. So describe to me what that entails.
So ExporTT Limited is the National Export Facilitation Organization of Trinidad and Tobago. We are charged essentially with increasing non-energy exports, and we do this in a variety of ways. We provide market research for companies to determine what might be the best markets for them to target, to find potential buyers in market. We also take companies to markets, to trade missions and trade shows. We even bring buyers to Trinidad and Tobago to meet our exporters. We also provide capacity building, and that can be grant funding or exporter development programs, of which Fit for Europe 2 is one, and we'll get to that, as well as export certification. So essentially, the government of Trinidad and Tobago has negotiated trade agreements with multiple territories, and in order to access those benefits, you have to be certified as a product of Trinidad and Tobago, and we offer that service as well. So we provide a suite of services and support to exporters of all types and varieties and sizes.
Beautiful. You get on easily. Because when you think about, for example, being a certified product of Trinidad and Tobago, it's not a concept that has ever, traveled through my mind before. I think I'm here, I'm functioning here, I sell goods and services here. That should suffice. What does that entail?
So you have to be manufacturing a product, naturally. And while you may get your raw materials from different territories, in order to be a product of Trinidad and Tobago, it has to be really rooted here, in as much as if you're getting your inputs from elsewhere, there has to be significant enough transformation to make a completely new product, such that we can actually say this is a product made in Trinidad and Tobago.
You learn something every day. Now let's learn more about specifically the Fit for Europe 2 project. So it's not the first one, second cohort.
Yes.
But what does that entail more specifically?
So Fit for Europe is geared, it's an export capacity building program. It's to develop our local exporters to be able to successfully access and penetrate the European markets. The first incarnation was in 2015, and it focused on the markets of the Netherlands and the UK and France, specifically for fashion. Fit for Europe 2, our markets are focused, it's the same sort of program, of course, but the focus is Germany and Sweden this time around. And so what it intends to do, again, is to prepare these exporters to understand the nuances and the changes they may have to make. Because, of course, all markets are different, all populations are different, they want different things, the cultures are different. And so it is to prepare these exporters to be able to meet the desires, the specifications, the requirements to enter these markets.
Okay. Now, granted that we understood the specificity of France, fashion particularly, what are these two nations giving us specifically? Or
right, so so it is all based on research. So when we were embarking on Fit for Europe 2, we had to do some deep digging to determine what are the areas of complementarity. And what that essentially means is, what do they want and what do we provide, and find that match. Right. So we sort of cast our net over the various European markets and came and landed upon these two, which seemed like as if they had the best opportunities based on our offerings. So we've selected those, and we have a consultant who we have on board. We need an in-market consultant, someone who's there on the ground who can provide us with that specific information, of course, to guide our exporters as they develop and ready themselves. Right. Do you want me to tell you a bit about that?
Sure, because wonderful. I was just going to say, does this make Janelle an exporter, a consultant? Let's get into it.
Janelle is a participant of the program, and we'll get to her wonderful introduction shortly. But essentially, we have brought on board Market Scoping International, or MSI. They are market research and design studio. So they specialize in next generation clusters, foreign direct investment, trade, strategic planning, capacity building, all of the things that we need to help our exporters in Fit for Europe too. So we're really, really pleased to have them on board. Fun side note. well, I don't know if fun is the word, but they were actually the consultant on Fit for Europe 1. So it's been really valuable to have their experience from the first one, all those lessons and learnings. And so we really feel as though this time around we have an even stronger program, more robust, so that we really hope for success at the end of this.
It also sounds like they would also have enough context for our culture, our behaviors, the things that we offer in the context of the Trinbagonian way, which is where Janelle comes in now, because you as a participant will be offering quite the experience through Crystal Dreams Weddings, which I actually am familiar with. But to someone who isn't, tell me a little bit about what your business provides first off, so we can contextualize it in the sense of getting ready to be export ready specifically for that market.
So Crystal Dream Weddings initially started as an event planning company where we usually do an annual exposition every year. Barring out of that, we started doing a television show by the name of Bling My Wedding.
Right.
So we joined the program Fit for Europe 2 to basically export Bling My Wedding in terms of getting international distribution.
Right. Now, the wedding planning part of things, there of course is that unique Trinbagonian element or even Caribbean element, because destination weddings would be very, very appealing to the European market. Bling My Wedding though is a different type of product. And how has the partnership, because you already established, you're looking at support from ExporTT, how has this partnership, this endeavor, this particular initiative so far contributed to that development, Bling My Wedding?
So it has really thus far been a fantastic in terms of collaboration. We, in terms of Crystal Dream Weddings, Bling My Wedding came on the Fit for Europe program under the Tier 3. So we are now entering in terms of Jamaica. We have started exporting Bling My Wedding. So very soon you'll be seeing Bling My Wedding Jamaica. And so based on that, we needed like the knowledge and the know-how in terms of exporting internationally. And that's where the Fit for Europe program came in. So it is basically assisting us in terms of developing our export plan. Even though it is Fit for Europe, Germany and Sweden, the consultants are really working with myself and the company in terms of even developing our strategic exporting plan for Jamaica as well, and the Caribbean. So it encompasses international distribution for our company.
Regardless of the specified country this time around, you can still find applicable knowledge in the experience. Okay, all right, the experience sounds very, very intense though. One of the things I noted was that there is a time frame for this, and granted that you were telling me this is the second one of its kind, what sorts of learnings or changes, if any, from the first cohort into the second one?
We have broadened, well, one of the things that's a requirement, let me take a step back. So this project is, while ExporTT is the implementing agency, we're not doing this alone. So of course, in partnership with our line ministry, the Ministry of Trade and Industry, but beyond that, this project is part funded by the European Union. So as you may know, there is an economic partnership agreement that we've signed, the EU CARIFORUM, and a part of that, there is funding that is allocated for capacity building. We've been able to access some of that to power this program. Some of our other partners on the local level, well, I should say that the funding is being channeled through the Caribbean Development Bank. So we have international support, we have regional support, and on the ground here, we have strategic guidance that is coming from, of course, the Ministry of Trade, but also our BSO partners. So we have the Trinidad and Tobago Manufacturers Association, we have the Trinidad and Tobago Chamber of Industry and Commerce, as well as the Trinidad and Tobago Coalition of Services Industries. So they are all a part of the strategic planning of this program. Right. So we have a lot of support where that is concerned. I wanted to touch on something that Janelle mentioned. She had said that she was a Tier 3. So something to note about this program is that it creates a pipeline of development. That's the goal. So we have 20 firms, I should mention, both goods and services, but also of a wide variety of levels of development, let's say. So we have 3 tiers, Tier 3, of which Janelle is one. Those are companies that are not yet exporting. So they have a strong product or service, and the goal is to get them to their next step. Our Tier 2s are companies that are functioning within the region, and their next step may be to get to an international market, or perhaps widen their reach in the region. And our Tier 1s, those are companies that are already in the international market. And so for them, the leap to Germany and Sweden is far smaller. And so they have the added benefit beyond the capacity building that all will enjoy of getting B2B meetings in the market. So one of the things the consultant has to do beyond the the research and the strategic development and the capacity building is also to make connections for our Tier 1 companies with the hope of developing some long-term relationships with partners in the European market.
Janelle is nodding emphatically because she is fully grasped all of these concepts and a testament of the success therein, yes?
And so a beautiful thing about it is that it really meets companies where they are. So while, yes, this is fit for Europe and the targets are Germany and Sweden, obviously we're not going to throw Janelle into Germany or Sweden.
Right.
And so it really assesses each company in terms of where they are, what their next step may be, and develop their plan of action around that. So it really is a bespoke approach to development. Right. And one of the really important aspects of that development is not just the cross-cutting capacity building interventions, but the coaching. So there's one-on-one coaching that's happening with each firm. And that's how Janelle has been able to get that support in order to leverage and really make the most of that potential partnership in the Jamaican market. And she's having a wonderful time and getting wonderful support and success.
Janelle, tell me what that coaching looks or sounds like, because when I think of coaching as an individual, that's a one-on-one conversation with an individual. What does coaching look like in the Fit for Europe 2 project?
So basically it is literally everything right now for me in terms of exporting, because the consultants are always just like an email away. So I'm always messaging if I have any problem or any stumbling block. So where I don't know how to proceed, I just have to message. They would have a meeting with me, an hour. They would walk me through in terms of what should be the next step, what I should be looking at, just basically reassuring me that, I'm doing a good job, take it one step at a time. So it's really, it's like the best thing that could have ever happened to our company at this stage in terms of exporting and really getting the knowledge and the know-how as to how to distribute internationally.
Well, this sounds fantastic. And to think that it has been ongoing and continues to be an opportunity for persons within any level of entrepreneurship is fantastic to hear. But I'm sure it means that there are going to be persons who want to know how they can get on board in the next cohort or so, perhaps. How do we do that?
Well, we have to determine whether there will be another cohort. So this is a process. So we did the first one. COVID happened. And then we thought, okay, this is a way that we can perhaps stimulate some growth and development as we're trying to all come out of the recession, if you want to call it, as an effect of COVID. And so we made another application. We proposed this to the European Union. We were accepted and we provided funding. So at the end of this project, when we look at how it happens and the successes, then we'll be able to determine what the next step will be, if there'll be another cohort.
Which means that we'll probably have you guys back on, giving us more updates and more insight as to how this endeavor continues to unfurl. But for now, we genuinely appreciate the insight, the support, and continuing to show us what is possible. ExporTT is making sure that we are fit for Europe with Project 2, developing the export readiness of local entrepreneurship, or enterprises rather, for the EU market. And so we say thanks to Mandisa Grandison, the Manager of Client Support Services and the Project Lead for Fit for Europe. And of course, Ms. Janelle Murray, Mrs. Murray, the CEO and Managing Director of Crystal Dreams Wedding Events, joining us this morning to give us more insight. Guys, when we come back, we've got some entertainment, and he never told you who it is, so you have to stick around to find out.